America's love affair with autos goes back to the 1800s, but it's 1913 that's the most interesting today. This is when Henry Ford invented the moving assembly line, allowing for mass production of automobiles. It's also in 1913 that the US government made a significant change in its approach to personal income tax structure. We'll talk more about this landmark event in the next few minutes. But first, there's a problem with how we've approached our retirement. It's been this way for over 30 years. We see this as the best time to make some beneficial adjustments. Today, I'll ask you 3 questions needed to address this in our business and in our personal planning. Number 1, would you agree we have arrived? We're now at a point in time that we must understand what our nation's debt is doing to us and our planning. Number 2, what about inflation, better known as the stealth tax? Regardless of age, health, or status, don't you wonder how you really are going to outlast your retirement income? This tax is everywhere and on just about everything. So, number 3, do we understand the differences between marginal tax and effective tax? And once we really do understand this, doing the math on what the benefits of paying now rather than continuing to defer taxes down the road really look like for us. Let me ask you, how did we get to where we are today? Let's take a look at American financial history. Let's start at the beginning. A quick history lesson on America, our money, our debt, and related tendencies. The economic history of America since 1913 starts like this. It's really the best place to start. It's the year the federal income tax was introduced. This reveals the negative effect of high taxes on the economy. The Great Depression was largely caused and perpetuated by tax hikes combined with increased government spending. 1913 was a 7% marginal tax rate. Less than 1% of Americans paid federal taxes. But by 1918, the federal marginal tax rate was 77%. In 1929, the highest marginal tax rate was 24%, also the beginning of the Roaring '20s. Then in October of 1929, things happened fast. America seized the stock market heights, but due to tariffs on trade, a 95% drop in the market occurred, and America was hit with a crash. 1933 was the end of World War II, marked the worst time in our nation's history, economically. Economists today say the years of 1929 through 45 were the framework of the Great Depression. This same year, the FDR administration implements the Bank Holiday Act and 4 life-changing factors. 1, banks were prohibited from buying or selling silver or gold. 2, banks were prohibited from providing foreign exchange. 3, gold clause was negated in all contracts. And number 4, Americans were mandated by federal law to sell all gold to the Treasury. But wait, there's more. Then the federal government devalued the dollar by 60%, a wealth tax on all Americans, and what followed after that was a 25% unemployment rate, the worst in U.S. history. By 1944, America was at a 94% marginal tax rate in comparison to now, where it's 37%. Fast forward to 1971. This is where it gets exciting. The US dollar becomes fiat currency. Fiat money is a government-issued currency that's not backed by a commodity such as gold. Fiat money gives central banks greater control over the economy because they control how much money is printed. Most modern paper currencies, such as the US dollar, are now fiat currencies. One danger of fiat money is that governments can print too much money, resulting in hyperinflation. Continuing with the money moves of 1971, all new US dollars were loaned into existence. President Nixon makes the monumental move and eliminates the link between the US dollar and the gold standard. Prior to this, the US dollar could be redeemed for actual gold at a rate of $35 an ounce. And ever since then, the US dollar became debt rather than redeemable for gold, which made these dollars an asset. Then came 2008 and the great financial crisis. The Federal Reserve System attempted to reflate the financial bubble by reducing interest rates to zero, but that didn't work. And there wasn't enough lending activity to create more currency. And things got worse and really never recovered. So in 2024, our worldwide debt is now over 300 trillion. And inflation emerged to results of this currency creation we experienced in 2008. Could we say that this currency creation is more like a steroid that develops an artificially induced strength method of growth? What happens when the body comes off of steroids? What's America's tendency when dealing with unsolved debt consequences? Print more money, moving this inflation over a period of time to deflation, which is a loss of value, like our grandparents or our great-grandparents experienced during the Great Depression of the 1930s. Is our message today about how we are all making bad decisions with what to do with retirement planning? Or if you're a business owner, you're succession planning? Have we ever heard the term where the smart money is? Am I suggesting you don't have smart money? Not at all. It's evident people are trying, saving, planning, and going through the actions. An example of this is the record savings in 401k plans over the years. However, a more beneficial thought for us today is to be more aware of what we're doing and the alternatives that exist that we don't hear much about in a clear and meaningful way. Another example is to realize what our effective tax on income tax is right now, something we don't see demonstrated for us when looking at participating in a 401k or IRA. Deferring income taxes for future date, well, that's a good job, but what if paying these deferred taxes today, then saving could prove to be more beneficial? And the growth is never, ever again taxed, with protection from creditors and predators. Is this something that would make sense to you today? Let me ask you, have you ever done the math on this? Our marginal tax brackets are scheduled to expire at the end of 2025. With inflation and debt at all-time highs, are taxes on sale? Could we be looking at tax increases like we saw in 1944 once again? What do you think? Economist Art Laffer, father of the famous Laffer curve, tells us the more we pay in taxes, the less motivated rich and lower income people are to work simultaneously. He graphs out where this break-even point is. Think about this. No one wins in this situation. Are we nearing this too much taxes break-even point Arthur Laffer discovered in his research in 1974? If yes, where will this tax revenue come from, if not from our income? Social Security. 11 states already tax Social Security benefits: Colorado, Connecticut, Kansas, Minnesota, Missouri, Montana, Nebraska, New Mexico, Rhode Island, Utah, and Vermont. Is this a tax opportunity for other states to seriously begin calculating and projecting? According to U.S. debt, our national unfunded liability, which means no money set aside to pay liabilities, that's now at $212 trillion. 95% of this unfunded obligation is driven by two federal programs, Medicare and Social Security. Where will the money come from to pay this? America's emergency fund is printing more money. Can this be sustained? Remember, we talked about the stealth tax called inflation. This is a tax that doesn't truly get recognized when calculating. What is true inflation? It should also include the cost of groceries, fuel, car repairs, healthcare, and other common daily needs. So we're told inflation is at 3 or 4%. It doesn't include these things. Aren't governments at the federal, state, and local levels all looking for more revenue? So isn't the easiest way for accomplishing a government budget shortage raising all kinds of taxes? Cities like Milwaukee, Wisconsin recently implemented a new sales tax totaling 7.9%. It's not new to cities like this before, but what is new is these are additional user taxes heaped on what already is in place. So in the final minute today, let's look at the good news. There are solutions. Knowing these answers to the following questions will move you that much further in having a beneficial plan. What could eliminate the income tax liability at low cost while you're alive and it would benefit you and your beneficiaries? What if this could be done with reduced or even a total elimination of your income tax liability? In other words, never ever again taxed money. What if your strategy was so beneficial it could reimburse your family income tax free for income liability you paid while you were alive, making it possible to withdraw almost any amount of this tax deferred money without paying $1 of income tax liability out of your own pocket? If you knew this was possible, at the very least, even if you didn't do anything, wouldn't you want to know how to do that? Won't these challenges and possibly struggles be with us for the rest of our lives? If we understand that, wouldn't it also allow us to be more successful and in control of what happens for many years? And wouldn't it be advantageous to be in control of your financial and retirement future rather than being controlled by unfavorable programs and issues? Wouldn't you want to be in control before economic upset occurs rather than defend yourself against these kind of consequences? Thank you for your interest in learning more about real financial concerns we must understand more about in order to succeed in our business succession planning and our personal retirement planning for you, your business, your employees, your family. What's next is up to you and your house. Thank you.
You've been listening to the Joe Simon Podcast. The fastest, most meaty 10-minute conversations about the insurance issues all business leaders must address today. Big ideas with powerful stories and real-time solutions. Remember, information discussed here today is dated and not specific to your situation. Always seek personal counsel from qualified advisors. For more about Joe Simon, go to DaVinciInsurance.com. Make sure to visit the DaVinciInsurance.com archives for more of our podcasts.